Alright, lesson 12-4 is area and perimeter on the coordinate plane. So the first thing we want you to do is turn on your computer, log into Khan, and watch this video called Coordinates of a Missing Vertex. And then I also want you to make sure that you have your homework written in your planner. So here we have points A, B, C, and D, and they're graphed on the coordinate plane to form a rectangle shown here. So this is our figure, okay? Now it says when a rectangle has sides that are parallel to each of the axes, the x-axis and the y-axis, the vertices of the vertical sides have the same x-coordinate. And the vertices of the horizontal sides have the same y-coordinates. Now you can determine the dimensions of a rectangle by finding the distance between consecutive vertices, and that's what we learned in lesson 12-3. Now, to find the perimeter and the area of a rectangle, first we have to find the length of each side of the rectangle, and then we will use the perimeter and area formulas to find those. So, I want you to make sure that you have your formulas written down in your notebook. So the area is equal to the length times the width. We've done that before. And the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And again, if you have the graph, then you can just count the boxes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be 4 units, and you can see that when you subtract the absolute values, absolute value of 7 and absolute value of 3, you get 4, okay? And then you can do the same thing with the vertical dimension. So here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, and then you can see, let's see, the ones that are same as the x, so we're going to subtract 5 minus 0, of course, which gives us 5. Okay? And again, that's what we learned in 12-3, so that was just a little bit of a review, quickly. So for example 1, we want to find the missing vertex. So here we have rectangle ABCD, and it has the consecutive vertices 1, 5, 6, 5, and 6, 2 for A, B, and C. And we want to find the coordinates of vertex D, okay? So just like in the video that you just watched, we're going to graph these points. So we have 1, 5, so that's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that is A. So this is A, 1, 5. Then we've got B, which is 6, 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is B, and that is 6, 5. And then you can see the dimension there, 6 minus 1 is going to be 5. And you can count on the graph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be 5 units. So that's 5 units, and that's line segment AB. So if we plot point C, that's 6, 2. So there's 6 over here, and comma 2, 1, 2, right there, and this is C, 6, 2. Okay? And of course, there's line segment BC. And that, again, you guys, if we subtract the absolute values, 5 minus 2, that's going to give us 3 units. So here, that's 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 units. Okay? So now you know that if this is 5 units, this is a rectangle, we know that rectangles have opposite sides congruent and parallel. If this is 5 units up here, that means this line down here also has to be 5 units. And also, if this side is 3 units, then the side opposite to that also has to be 3 units. So here, we can see where our point D is going to be. So D is going to be 1, comma, 2. And there's our final answer. D is at 1, comma, 2. So I would like for you to work with your table partners and complete example 1B. It says the rectangle WXYZ has consecutive vertices at W, X, and Y, and we want to find the coordinates of vertex Z. So go ahead and work on that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to graph our coordinates, graph our ordered pairs. So here are points W, X, and Y, and then I will connect them so we can see our sides. So here we have XW or WX, over, and we have XY. So now, again, we're looking for Z, which is somewhere around here. So we know, again, that if this side is 9 minus 4, 5 units, then that means that this side also has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. We also know on this side, if this side is, let's see, 8 minus 2, that's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then that means that the side opposite also has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So here is where point Z will be, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 8, comma, 4, and that is point Z. All right, so for example 2, it says use coordinates to find the perimeter and area. It says a contractor is designing a rectangular deck with consecutive vertices as follows. It says he needs to add lattice boards around the base of all 4 sides of the deck. He also needs to use a protectant to weatherproof the surface of the deck. If each unit represents 1 foot, how many feet of lattice boards will he need for all 4 sides of the deck? And what is the area of the surface that he needs to cover with the protectant? Okay. So our important information, of course, is our vertices, okay? It says that he wants to add lattice boards around the base of all 4 sides of the deck. So that is going to be the perimeter, okay? So for the lattice boards, that's going to be for the perimeter. It says how many feet of lattice boards will he need, okay? And it also says that he wants to use protectant of weatherproof, so he wants to weatherproof the surface of the deck. So that means that he wants to paint the stuff on it. So we also want to know what is the area of the surface that needs to be covered with the protectant. So that's our important information. Now, I'm just going to do a little sketch on the side here, a little scratch paper work, okay? These are all positives, okay? So if I have all positives, then I've got 1, 1 down here, 14, 1 over here, 14, 9 up here, and 1, 9 up here. So this is what our deck is going to look like, okay? So if this is 1, 1 down here, 1, 1, and this over here is 14, 1, we need to figure out what that dimension is. Well, again, you look here, the y values are the same, so that means we're going to use the x values to find the dimensions. So from here to here, we're going to take the absolute value of 14 minus the absolute value of 1. So that's 14 minus 1. Maybe you can do this part, this first line in your head, and then 14 minus 1 is 13. So we know that this is 13 units. Okay? Now, we also know that up here, this one is 1 comma 9. This is up here is 1 comma 9. 1 comma 9, and we know that this one over here is 14 comma 9. Okay? Now, we want to know, do it in green, we need this dimension now. So this dimension, you'll see that the x values are the same. So that means we want to use, the y values to calculate. So that means we want to use the y values to calculate. So we want to, again, since we're in the same quadrant, we're going to subtract the absolute values. So we've got the absolute value of 9 minus the absolute value of 1. So that's 9 minus 1, which is 8. So this is 8 units. Okay? You see how my sketch here helped me visualize what the shape looks like. Okay? So now we want to know what is the perimeter. So we're going to use our formula. So P is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So this is going to be for the lattice. Right? Let's write this in there. So this is for the lattice. Okay? And that's the, let's just say that the length is 13 and the width. So this is the length and this is the width, 8. So now we're just going to substitute in. So we have 2 times the length, which is 13, plus 2 times the width, which is 8. So that's going to be 26 plus 16, and that's 12, carry the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be 42 units. Now, it says that each unit represents 1 foot. So 42 units is going to be equal to 42 feet of lattice. Okay? So that's only the part 1 of the question. Okay? Now we want to know what is the area of the surface so we can cover it with protectorant. So that's for the lattice. Now we want to find the surface area, the area of the surface. So area is equal to length times width. So the length we said was 13 times the width, which is 8. When we put that in there, that gives us 104. So this is going to be 104, and it's, again, it's feet, so it's going to be feet squared. That's the surface area, and that is for the protectorant. I keep saying protectorant, it's protectant. Protectant. There you go. And there's your final answers. So, go ahead and complete example B. It says, an artist is designing a canvas for a rectangular shaped piece of art. The frame will have consecutive vertices as follows. She needs to build a frame and stretch the fabric for the canvas. So if you think about that, the frame is a thing that goes all the way around. Okay, so that is going to be the perimeter. And then she wants to stretch the canvas, the fabric, stretch the fabric for the canvas. That's where she's going to paint her artwork. That's going to be the surface. So that's going to be the area. Okay? So this is going to be for the perimeter, and this is going to be for the area. Okay? It says if each unit represents 1 inch, okay, that makes it easy for us. How many inches of material will she need to make the frame? That's the perimeter. And how many square inches of fabric will she need to make the canvas? And that's the area. Okay? So again, I like to uh, um, do a little sketch. Those are all positives. I like to do a little sketch and then visualize where these points are. Okay? So we've got 2, 2, so that's about here, 2, 2. Then we've got 2, 16, so that's 2, 16 somewhere up here. Then we've got 13, 16, so that's 13 somewhere out here, 16 up there. And then 13 again, 2. So that's what we're going to use to find our dimensions. Okay? So the first thing we want to do, actually let me write my points down. Alright, so here we have our ordered pairs for the points, and now we can figure out our dimensions, okay? So let's start with this one, and let's call this the length, okay? This will be the length. And let's see, we're looking at the points, and you can see that the y values are the same. The y values are the same, which means we're going to use the x values to calculate. So that's the absolute value of 13 minus the absolute value of 2. Let's do this in blue. So the absolute value of 13 minus the absolute value of 2. So we've got 13 minus 2, which is, of course, 11 units. So that's going to be our length. So this is 11 units. Okay? Okay, so that's the length. And now let's figure out the width. Let's call this the width. That's the W. Okay? And again, you can see, let's see here, the x values are the same. So those x values are the same, which means we're going to use the y value to calculate. So let me do this one in green down here. So we've got the absolute value of 16 minus the absolute value of 2. So 16 minus 2 is 14 units. And that's going to be our width. Okay? So now we just need to use our formulas. So for the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So 2 times L, so 2 times 11. Make sure you do your substitution. Plus 2 times the width. That's going to be 2 times 14. I forgot to write it down. Let me write this down. This is 14 here. Okay, so 2 times 14. And then we can simplify. So that's 22 plus 28, which is 10, carry the 1, that's 50. So that's 50 units, which means, remember, it's 1 unit is equal to inches. We wrote that, we have that up here somewhere. Yeah, each unit represents 1 inch. So here, this means 50 units is equal to 50, let me erase it, 50 inches down here. And that is for the frame. Okay? And now we can find the area, which is length times width. So area is 11 times 14. And 11 times 14 gives us 154. So that's 154 inches squared, and that is for the canvas. Good. All right, so example 3, we're going to throw in some negatives into the ordered pairs. Okay, so this is where you guys the sketch will definitely help you. It says rectangle WXYZ has consecutive vertices as follows. We want to find the perimeter and the area of the rectangle. Okay, so let's see. We've got x's that go to -8, and then we've got y's that go negatives and positives, -5s and +3s. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is sketch our graph. So let's see, let's start with w, which is at -8, -5. So let's say -8, -5 is down here somewhere. Okay, so this is w. This is -8, -5. Okay, and we've got -8, +3. So -8, +3 is somewhere up here. So that's x. -8, +3. Y is at -3, around here somewhere, +3, so it's right here. So this is y, -3, +3, and then z, -3, -5 down here. So this is z, and that's -3, -5. Okay, erase this to give me some space. So there you can see there's our rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw our sides. You know what, rather than drawing our sides, let's just find our dimensions. Okay, so we know, let's see. All right, so we know we want to find this measure right here in blue. Okay, so we're looking at these. If we look at our ordered pairs, you can see which ones are the same, right? -5 and -5. Those are the y values. So that means we're going to use the x value to calculate. So we want the absolute values, and we're going to do big minus little, okay? So we want the absolute value of -8 minus the absolute value of -3. And when I say big minus little, I just mean the actual digit, okay? So here, this is going to give us 8 minus 3, which is 5 units. So this right here is 5 units. Okay? So now let's take a look at this one. Okay? And let's call this 5 units, let's call that length. The length is 5 units. So this is going to be our width. Now, when we look at these, you can see again that the y values, the x values are the same. So if the x values are the same, we're going to use the y values to calculate. Okay? And again, we're going to do big minus little, the big digit minus the little digit. So we've got the absolute value of -5 minus the absolute value of 3. So that's going to be 5 minus 3, which gives us, wait 1 second. We're not going to subtract, because look at this. We are in different quadrants. So if we're in different quadrants, we need to add, right? Good catch. So that's going to be adding. So this is going to be 5 plus 3, which is 8 units. Good catch. So this is 8, and let's call that our width. Okay? Be careful. So this was in the same quadrant, so that's why we subtracted. Thank goodness I didn't mess that one up. And then these are different quadrants, so we had to add, okay, the absolute values. So now we can use our formulas to find the perimeter and the area. So the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So 2 times 5 plus 2 times the width, which is 2 times 8. So that's going to be 10 plus 16, which is 26 units. That's the perimeter. And now, and it didn't have any conversions up there, so now we want to find the area. So area is equal to length times width. So the length we said was 5 times the width, which is 8. So 5 times 8 is 40. And this is 40 units squared. Piece of cake. Alright, so now I want you to try this one on your own. If you're watching the video, just press pause. It says rectangle ABCD has consecutive vertices, those vertices, and we want to find the perimeter and the area of that rectangle. Okay, so we want to find the perimeter and the area. Okay, and again, the first thing you want to do is sketch on the coordinate plane. Alright, so there's my sketch of my ordered pairs. Now, we want to find our dimensions. So here, let's find this one. Okay, now let's look at which ones are the same. Let's see, the same are the y values. So we're going to use the x values to calculate. Now, remember, look, we're in different quadrants, so don't mess that one up again, right? So we're in different quadrants, so that means we want to add the absolute values. So here we've got the absolute value of -5 plus the absolute value of 1. So that's going to be 5 plus 1, which is 6 units. And let's call that the length. Okay? And now, let's wait. 6 here. Now let's find the width. Let's just use this one. Okay? And again, gotta look to see which ones are the same so we can use the other one. So let's see. The x values are the same. So we're not going to use the x values to calculate. We're going to use the other one. We're going to use the y values to calculate. Okay? So, and again, let's see. We're in the same quadrant, so that means we want to subtract. And we're going to subtract big minus little again, okay? So we've got, let's see here, the absolute value of 7 minus the absolute value of 2. So that's going to be 7 minus 2, which is 5 units. And that is what we're going to call the width, okay? And that's 5. So now we can use our formulas. So the perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So 2 times 6 plus 2 times the width, which is 5. Now simplify. So we've got 12 plus 10, and that's going to give us 22 units. And now, all you got to do is find the area. So area is equal to length times width. The length is 6 times the width, which is 5, and 6 times 5 is 30. And don't forget, area is units squared. And that's it. So today we're going to do something different. We're not giving you a new assignment for 12-4, but we're going to give you your practice test. So you're going to complete your practice test, and then we're going to go over it next class period. Okay? Make sure it is complete before you come to class.